And now, even though we use pixels almost all the time for absolute measurements, there are several relative measurements that come into play depending on what you're doing. So the first we saw was the percentage, but we can also use one called EMs. So if we do 1.7 EM, that's going to be identical to the 170%. We can test that by turning this on and off here, and you can see that the line height doesn't change in those paragraphs. Now, EM is interesting because it's calculated based on its parent element, which means that if this parent's element is sized in EMs, then it will be directly connected with that parent. We'll also see that for percentages, but EMs tend to be a more common measurement when it comes to website layout, and so you'll see this effect a lot more when it comes to EMs. So let me demonstrate what this means. So right now, this EM measurement is for the line height, which is directly tied to the font size. So let's change the font size to EM so we can see how the unit value changes as it cascades through multiple elements. So again, we'll add a line right here for font size, and we'll give it 1 EM. And now let's go to the container, which is this section element here, and let's give this a font size. So let's do font size of 30 pixels. So when we changed the font size of this section, that cascaded down to the paragraph, and the font size of the paragraph is 1 EM, which is the same as 100%. So now the font size of the paragraph is 30 pixels. The line height is 1.7 EMs, so it's going to be 1.7 times the 30 pixels because this is 1 EM. And now if we change the font size on this section here, let's change it down to 10. You can see that the paragraph, because it's measured in relative units now, changes as well. So this cascading effect of relative measurements can be very useful, but it can also be terribly frustrating if you use it in the wrong context. The reason is that now you're coupling these two different elements that didn't necessarily have much to do with one another. But now, if you change the styles on one element, it will change the styling on different elements inside of it. And a lot of the time that's not what you want.